Look at this map of the Middle East, focusing on where it narrows into the Strait of Hormuz. A massive volume of global shipping traffic squeezes through this tiny channel, a lifeline traditionally kept open by the overwhelming deterrence of the U.S. Navy. For weeks, diplomatic negotiations have been underway here at the International Maritime Organization to execute a massive humanitarian effort, safely evacuating over 11,000 stranded commercial sailors out of the heavily contested Persian Gulf. But that evacuation is now completely paralyzed. On Thursday, an Iranian projectile struck a commercial cargo vessel attempting to pass through the strait, forcing the UN to halt the entire rescue operation. This kinetic strike serves as a calculated stress test on American deterrence in international waters. With the UN evacuation now dead in the water, the pressure on Washington's maritime security guarantees is reaching a breaking point. In the wake of the strike, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, issued a rigid new directive. Moving forward, Iran will dictate exactly where commercial ships are allowed to sail. Any vessel that deviates from these newly drawn Tehran-approved transit lanes is now legally classified by Iranian authorities as a violator of sovereign rules. The economic consequences for those violators are immediate. Ships caught off the approved routes will have their safety guarantees explicitly revoked, and their massive maritime insurance policies will be entirely voided. This strategy is an administrative takeover of international waters, forcing global shipping companies to submit to Iranian bureaucracy to survive the crossing. Without proper routing compliance and insurance, these multi-ton commercial freighters are left completely exposed to hostile intervention by fast attack craft. By weaponizing insurance and dictating routing paths, Iran has effectively claimed ownership over a vital global artery, creating a power vacuum that directly challenges Washington. Iran's ultimate strategy here relies heavily on administrative dominance rather than a constant barrage of missiles. This animated map isolates Iran and Oman. Tehran is actively negotiating with Oman to establish a joint authority controlling this exact maritime perimeter. The ultimate goal of this proposed authority is highly lucrative. Implementing a mandatory toll system, ships must pay for safe passage. Wrapping a military threat inside an administrative toll system creates a complex legal trap. It makes it extremely difficult for the US to justify a direct military strike just to clear a bureaucratic checkpoint. While Iran physically tightens its grip on the choke point, the rhetorical response from Washington leadership has been remarkably soft. Donald Trump recently abandoned his previous threats of military destruction, pivoting to refer to Iran as a beautiful place and a lovely country. Shortly after, Vice President J.D. Vance announced that Washington and Tehran have agreed to establish a direct communication channel. Notice the hardware on display here. The target of that American back channel is the IRGC, a classified terrorist organization now treated as a diplomatic partner. This public messaging suggests the U.S. is prioritizing conflict avoidance over its long-standing role as the primary guarantor of the open seas. To manage the fallout, Secretary of State Marco Rubio embarked on an emergency diplomatic tour, starting here in Bahrain to reassure panicked regional allies. Those allied nations are watching the waters of the strait and quickly realizing that American military protection is no longer a guaranteed safety net. When pressed on the prospect of Iran charging ships a mandatory fee to cross the strait, Rubio's public statements were incredibly revealing. He stated clearly that the U.S. won't support any toll mechanism, but he carefully and deliberately refused to state that the U.S. military would actually intervene to stop it. Iran's control of this choke point has forced a recalibration of the American presence. By weaponizing a single narrow channel, Tehran has successfully compelled a superpower to retreat from its once firm red lines.